Something in your eyes makes me wanna lose myself, makes me wanna lose myself in your arms. There's something in your voice makes my heart beat fast. Hope this feeling lasts the rest of my life. If you knew how lonely my life has been and how long I've been so alone. If you knew how I wanted someone to come along and change my life the way you've done. It feels like home to me. It feels like home to me. It feels like I'm on the way back where I come from. It feels like home to me. It feels like home to me. It feels like I'm all the way back where I belong. Window breaks down on dark street, and siren wails in the night. But I'm alright, 'cause I have you here with me, and I can almost see through the dark there is light. If you knew how much this moment means to me and how long I've waited for your touch. If you knew how happy you are making when we're standing at a distance. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on their door. And when you trust your television, what you get is what you got. 'Cause when they own the information, oh, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that
This is the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show, your destination for the best in social and political straight talk. And now, here's your host, Miss Tanya Free.
Today is Wednesday, May 16th. Welcome to the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show. I am Tanya Free, joined by my wonderful friends. Uncle Mo, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me back.
Well, thank you for being here. And also with us is on this side of the track once again is Marcus Evans. How are you?
Oh, fine. I'm getting you. I could get used to this.
Oh,
I
hey,
want to have my own show.
Well, hey, you got all your fans.
One
Truly,
day.
Grace, and everybody. Hey, they want you on this
One
side
day.
of the track. And also with us is Dale Chandler. How are you?
Oh, I'm Decline, and it's a pleasure to be here every
well,
time.
Thank you. And also with us, always a pleasure, have Myron Clack. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. You gonna behave yourself today?
I always behave myself. I just may give out some information.
That's what it is? Okay. Thank you all for being here. I also want to welcome everybody behind the scenes, Niles Johnson, Noah Johnson, and Mr. Free. Thank all of our listening friends from coast to coast. Want you to give us a call, let us know what you think, and want you to share your comments. Our phone lines are open, 804-321-1010. Our toll-free number, 844-321-1010. Or you can text us at Tanya Free 63975 to weigh in. Or thanks to our friends at AM/FM 247. You can dial us at 712-832-2784 to listen to us on your mobile phone. Well, for the past few weeks, I have not been talking about 45, but we have to mention a couple items that are going on. Last week, he tweeted that he was going to have this summit with Kim Jong-un, and that has, gone away, which I didn't think was going to happen anyway. According to the media, Kim Jong-un has pretty much canceled this summit that was supposed to take place in June, I believe. I think it was June 12th or something like that.
Yeah, it was early June.
Yeah, and just think, that was just last week, and this week, he said, I'm not going to do it. According to the reports, something has something to do with the fact that South Korea was still testing weaponry, I believe.
They have
Nuclear.
a defense. They're doing some kind of defense. The military, U.S. military,
Right.
and South Korea are doing some kind of military defense exercise.
Right?
Even
Practice
though
or something.
they said that he knew about it and he agreed to it in the beginning, but that he since decided that he's against it, and that's why that's one of the reasons they say he's pulling out.
I think the other reason is because of this deal that they're doing with China and this the telecommunication ZTE. I think that has something to do with it as well, because from what I understand, ZTE was doing things. The agreement that they were supposed to have is that they were supposed to have sanctions against North Korea, and now 45 has agreed to financially support ZTE to keep them from going out of business and losing jobs, according to him.
Yeah, that's what
goodness.
China.
What's going to happen to the ratings now?
I know,
Ratings
really.
might drop a little bit.
And they also opposed Bolton because in 2002, Bolton's working with the Bush administration, and he was talking about preemptive strikes then.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, he's afraid that the maneuvers that they're going to do, the B-52s will be able to carry nuclear weapons. And another plane he mentioned can target just him and his leaders all in one place. And he's afraid of that. And I think that's why he's calling it off.
Yeah, well, I didn't think he was going to meet with them anyway. I thought that he was just playing them from the start.
This whole summit thing, whether it takes place or not, but I wonder if regardless of whether they do it or not, the issue of the reunification of North and South Korea.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
So I when I got your email about the denuclearization as part of the talks, I can't see it until after the reunification, if that takes place, and that will not take place anytime soon, because there are still issues that they have to between the North and the South. Okay. So what will that look like? What will be the impact? So what if South Korea and North Korea reunify? Would South Korea want to give up the nukes? Because then it becomes part, if they reunify, it becomes a Korea issue, not a North Korea issue.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is, does the United States want that to happen? Because
Well,
Korea, as one unified country, is pretty big. You know, so that's two good, fairly good sized armies, that'll only be checked in that area by China, and if they combine with China into an army in Korea, yeah, that would be a pretty awesome force. That'd be a lot of people.
But in the diplomacy, in the historical aspect, if people remember, when the end of the war, the Korean War, North Korea was backed by Russia and China. Okay, South Korea has been supported by the U.S.
Technically, the war has ended.
Well, yeah, it never really have ended. It
war.
never really has been
Right.
declared an end to it. However, the South Korea has been supported by us, the U.S.
Right. The US.
So that's why I said, when they talk about this summit, to me is something that they look at in the short term. It's a short-term deal anyway. Okay, it's only about what Trump is trying to accomplish for his legacy that he wants to do, and not looking at the overall picture. So,
Well, when he sent his sister down to South Korea during the Olympics, I kind of picked up on the fact that they're going to talk about them being as one people,
yeah,
see? And plus, Kim Jong-un has the bomb, and now he has a delivery system, because if people remember, the last missile he tested was an ICBM, meaning intercontinental. So he has a delivery system to reach the United States. And I believe what he was going to meet with Trump is to say that he wants a seat at the nuclear table now.
I thought his ICBM
Intercontinental
his
ballistic
I
missile.
believe I thought his ICBM test wasn't a success.
No, the last one
The
they
last
said
one
it
was-
went
His
so, but
ICBM
it
was
went
successful.
so, it went so
was
high
successful.
that if they'd have changed the trajectory,
Right.
it would have reached the United States.
Okay.
Right.
the Western United States.
Yeah, they could at least reach California.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I was under the assumption that I didn't think that his
Well, that's the
the
reason
test
why
the
after
most
that,
recent test wasn't successful.
The most recent test was successful, and also when they tested the bomb, the last bomb, they blew up their own facility. Basically, the mountain collapsed, so everything collapsed on itself. Because that was another reason.
That means he doesn't have a reliable delivery system yet. Then
Yeah, but he's working. on it.
I mean, it can work, but if it works and it goes up and basically doesn't clear a certain space, you kill your own people, North and South Korea. And if South Korea has got nuclear capabilities, that's probably a big reason why he's not really interested in giving up on his project. So it wouldn't be in his interest to meet with the United States, with the president, talking about, hey, look, we'll come to the table with y'all as soon as y'all turn over everything you have. They're not turning over a thing.
No.
Well,
I don't think that's what happened.
Here's the reason, and like I said, the idea of the summit, in my opinion, I'm not an expert on it at all, but the idea of it, really wouldn't go the way you wanted to unless, like you said, you have a reunified Korea. South Korea is not going to give up their stuff, and if you have a reunified Korea, now you have a public election. Kim Jong-un's family is no longer in power.
Right.
He is not interested
And
in
he's
giving up
not
his
gonna
chair,
let
his
that
seat,
happen.
or his
No.
family giving up their power at
Right.
any time right now. They're not interested. And if you do that and you have a reunified Korea and the individuals from South Korea who are in power, if they push their agenda forward, now you have got Kim Jong-un locked up, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to prosecute him for his human rights violations and his war crimes. They're going after him on that level. So no, talking to the President of the United States, no matter who it is at this point, that might not be in his best interest.
I don't think it was going to happen, like I said.
Well,
There are too many moving parts to it, in my
It's in
opinion.
his best interest to have the talks, because, as they say, if Trump sits down with him, it gives him a place at the table, at the UN table,
No,
to be
he-
recognized. The
a place
recognition.
a place at a table, not that table.
But it's a recognition.
You can eat Thanksgiving dinner, but you at the small table in the back
But-
where the
but-
kids are. He ain't at the big table, and he knows this.
But he knows also, if you are recognized by the President of the United States, there is no greater recognition.
He's already recognized for that.
No,
Via Twitter.
He has never sat down and met any U.S. president at any kind of summit. Okay. He has never had that opportunity because no one was willing to do that.
But if
Trump
you know-
is the only one that's
Yeah,
willing to
but
do
I
it.
don't think-
But if
I
he
don't
knows
think-
what you already got, why talk to him?
I
know
agree.
what you got.
I
And
have
of all
to-
people
but
to
I'm
sit
saying
there,
the
with,
game
I don't
that's-
think
the game
they
that's being
value the U.S. in that fashion with who we have in office. I don't
No,
think
it's not who's in office. Is the
It's the seat,
idea?
not the person.
You're right. It's the seat. Okay. And Trump is the only president that has been willing to meet to give him this summit. Okay, to actually sit down. That gives him recognition, even though he had it on the world stage, but not at this level, because I met with the President of the United States. He's now also what they are saying, by him pulling out the way it's giving him the control. Okay,
Right.
It's giving him control in this game.
So maybe he never
Okay.
wanted to meet with him.
That's what I
Absolutely.
said. He
Absolutely.
wasn't
It
going
was
to meet
all a
right.
plan.
That you-
It
And,
was all.
and as a result, Donald Trump once again
got played.
Right.
looks like a fool.
He
And
does.
that's what he
And
wants.
especially when they weren't going to
Looks
give
like
him
a
the Nobel
fool.
Peace Prize.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, he hadn't
Yeah.
done
The
anything yet.
man
They haven't
looks
met yet.
like
Right.
Not
you
the
know-
master deal maker. We can't.
Well, you know what? He doesn't look like a fool. He looks like who he is. He's been in that position for a long. He
I
should,
think-
he should be very familiar
Right.
with the egg that he has right now.
Right.
That's
He's
what
playing
I think
checker,
that,
and Kim Jong Un's playing
Chess.
Okay,
Exactly.
Because, you know, they are talking about the release of the 3 Americans. Well, they chess move. Okay, this I'm going to give you this, but they are
Look.
now going back and say, well, he took them,
Look.
used them
The
for
three
this
Ameri-
purpose.
The
Right.
three
Right.
Americans,
Yeah.
the 3 Americans he released.
Well, we're
Were
don't
Koreans.
say it.
Right.
Don't say it. Don't
Yeah.
say it.
Well, they
Don't
were.
say it.
They were
You're right.
Korean
You're right.
Americans.
I don't care.
You're
I'm
absolutely,
telling
you're
you. I'm gonna tell the
absolutely
truth.
right.
The truth ain't got no friends. Here it is.
Yeah.
The 3 Americans he released
Were
were
Korean.
Koreans. Now, the one white American he released a little while ago, that man didn't make it when he got here.
You know, they
So-
dogged him.
They did more,
Yeah,
they
you're
did more
right.
than
Yeah.
that, and they killed him.
Well, yeah, I
They
mean,
killed him.
but that's what I mean by dogging. I mean, they put him through whatever they put him through.
Yeah.
When he got back to the United States,
Yeah, he was
that
out.
man was
You're right.
written down
You
and
know.
defacing
You know.
posters
you know,
Yeah.
in Korea.
The other 3
Yeah.
Like a
Korean
fool.
Americans that were released were in good health, excellent health.
Right.
You're right. They were. They
didn't-
got off the
They
plane.
didn't
I'm
miss
like,
any meals.
Yeah.
They had
None of that.
haircuts.
Right.
They were
Their
clean.
clothes looked fine.
Right.
They were clean.
They were. They like they had just come from
Happy with
from
smile.
a
Nobody had
summit.
to help them off the plane. They walked on it. They weren't hobbled. They looked pretty healthy
Plus,
to me.
I think that North wants the South to know if the Americans nuke us, there's no way in the world you won't be affected by it in
Exactly.
the South.
We all die.
Right.
We all die.
Right.
Either immediately or some relatively short time frame after, within a 10-year time frame.
Right.
If they drop something here,
slow, painful-
they get us all. So the
a
way you
slow,
keep them
painful
off of us is to make sure that we don't just give up ours in the process. But we can't give up what we have. We can't have the conversation of not giving up what we got if we're still split in half. A unified Korea is actually kind of frightening
Right.
to the
That's what I
American
said
federal
earlier.
government.
That's what I
It
said
is.
earlier.
It is.
You know,
It keeps everybody at bay. It's a
Right.
it's a standoff.
Right.
But
You
here's
shut up, I shut up, and we're gonna go about our business.
Now,
and,
this
and then move your military base. We're
Right.
not having that mess over here. No more.
and here's the NRA, the what is it? The thing about a good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
The only thing that a bad guy is afraid of is a good guy with a gun. Well, it's the same thing with nukes. Okay,
Right.
Kim Jong Un. You know, if we're the bad guys, if that's how he's portraying it, then he can portray himself as
That's
a good
what-
guy with nukes.
That's what
okay.
that's what we did with
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
the whole
exactly.
space race. Look, you develop yours, we're gonna develop ours too, and then as we all have the capability to destroy the
Right.
planet, then we'll talk.
You're right.
But
And that-
I'm not talking to you until I have my capability. So
And-
maybe Kim Jong Un has his. If he has the capability, and I think he does, the nuclear capability, I am still not confident with the delivery system. I really don't think he can get out of his zone without blowing his own country up. And if he could, he talks a little different now.
Right. And the other thing, I think the reason he pulled out is something Dale said. It goes back to Libya. When Gaddafi gave up his, what did they do to him? They went back on their word, and then look what happened to Libya. Okay,
Right.
so
Well,
there are a
in
lot
more
of
modern,
issues.
The Iran deal, where they backed out
Yeah,
of that.
well,
They backed out of that
Right.
nuclear deal.
So-
That was signed, sealed. Everybody wants it.
Give that 30 days. That'll be back on the table because that ain't gonna go the way you
Well,
want
like
it
I said,
to.
I think
That was
that's
done
a
to
good
sell
reason
tickets.
For
That's
Kim
gonna change,
Jong-un to suspect that the United States wouldn't keep their word.
Right, exactly. Considering who you playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now think about it. Would you trust 45 saying, "Hey, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna
trust
take
him
it"?
to walk a dollar across the street from it, but
Kim Jong Il
That's-
is crazy, but he's not stupid.
no, he's not
And-
stupid. See, you
At
just
all.
yeah, he's
At
not
And
stupid.
all.
if you listen to what Iran is talking about, they can't work on the bomb, but they are working on a ballistic missile. See, so if they don't have a bomb in 10 years, they will have a delivery system so that when that treaty is up, they'll just
I
have
can
to
get
make
to
the
you.
bomb.
I can touch you.
Right.
See, the idea, I don't think any of these leaders are truly interested in destroying, life as a whole, in my opinion. But it's the idea of, hey, look, shut up. If I want to touch you, I can get
Yeah, I have
every
the
person
capability.
on the planet that looks just like you in one place. I can wipe you off the planet. And then the notion behind that is, okay, you know what? You told me to shut up. I'm going to be quiet. But as soon as I get mine, I'm going to be talking again.
And look at where Kim Jong-un went on his first visit out of the country, China.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And I
That
heard
means
something
They
this
have the
morning.
ability to help him develop a payload and a delivery system.
I heard something this
comparable. It
morning
doesn't have to be great.
that said China has his back, and I've always said that. And I feel that, hey, why would, if you're gonna go, like you said, if you're gonna go to somebody, go to China.
Well, China
He
always
would
had his
trust.
back.
He would trust. Who would you trust between China and the U.S.?
I have looked up something. I was just looking at this paper, but I can't find. I didn't highlight it. But yeah, China always had his back, and,
Right.
and China has always, even with all the sanctions, has supported.
Still took care of him,
And
right?
North Korea. So,
And
Russia.
They make plenty of money out the deal.
You never hear China boasting about their nuclear arsenal
They
either.
don't have to.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
where it is. You
Yeah.
know they got
Yeah.
it.
they got it.
They
Yeah.
got and they got it in droves. They, ain't
Where,
got, they don't talk. They don't talk about much.
No.
They don't talk about anything.
Well, that's
they're
what I'm
not.
trying
They're
to
not
understand.
hiding. They're not hiding anything. But you don't say, "Hey, look, did you see what I got over here?"
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. This deal that 45 is doing with China. My understanding that he makes money
He'll get-
off
Well,
of
that was
this.
another thing.
He'll
It was
get
something
burnt
about
out of
he's
that
got
deal in the
stock. I
end.
don't know if he has stock or the family has it.
No, it's
Yeah, no.
it's privately owned, so it's the way that they are reporting it is that his company will get $500 million.
Right.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, yeah, it's for him to build, for it to be built.
I thought he
and put
couldn't
his
do
name.
business while he
Well,
was.
that
monuments
is,
cause-
the monument,
cause
right?
It's
And-
supposed to stop that, but he's constantly going against it.
But there are some senators. I saw Senator Blumenthal the other night, and he said that will be added to the lawsuit, which is coming up sometime in June. So there is
That
a
means
lawsuit
nothing.
on for Trump, the way that he's been conducting business.
Okay. Today's praise break is "I Need You to Survive" by Hezekiah Walker, sponsored by the Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar.
You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. clap your hands, everybody. Let's lift our hands.
Put your business on the map for a lot less than you might think with Freedom Marketing. Text the word advertised to 63975 or give them a call at 844-321-1010. That's Freedom Marketing, 844-321-1010.
This is Tanya Free, inviting you to check out the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show, your destination for the best in social and political straight talk, here coast to coast on the AM/FM 247 radio network and the AM/FM 247 television network. Join the conversation.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show, Wednesdays.
The New Orleans Talk Network, now on your mobile device, on your computer, in your ear, and interactive. It's new, it's innovative, and it's on your mobile device. Android, iPhone, iPad, and on your computer. Take us wherever you go. Because we're interactive. 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255.
When the world gets small, feel like it's closing in. Through it all, there's you, my friend. When I feel like I can't go on, no reason to aspire, just can't rise above, there's you, only you. Voices of 1,000 years.
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open right now at area code 804-321-1010 in Central Virginia and 844-321-1010 coast to coast.
When the world gets small.
We'll shift gears and talk about a couple of things that has not received a lot of media coverage. I want to thank our friend Tara Ellis, who brought this story to our attention, or to my attention, last week. 2 young black men lynched in Oklahoma by 4 whites, and it's getting no media attention. And I really searched for this one, and I could find very little about it. According to News 1, there were 2 young men lynched. R. Kelly, hold on a second, no, I'm sorry. Get the people's name here. Well, anyway, it was 2 young men, and from my understanding, they were trying to purchase guns, and they were meeting with someone they met on Craigslist. And the white men that they met end up, they got in the car with them in some kind of way, end up getting shot. Both of them got killed, and they end up taking the young men to a second location where a third white guy got involved in some kind of way. They end up dismembered and in a ditch, and no one saw them for a couple days. And I'm trying to understand how come this story did not get any or get a lot of media press. This is the only story I was able to find on News 1. Have you all heard anything about this?
I heard the story, but no details of it, other than, the sensational that they had been lynched, okay?
Right.
But again, now you're talking about the media as it relates to us as a people, okay? Whenever they do put something out, it's going to always be a snippet, Okay, because
Exactly.
because they don't want to have that discussion. They don't want to have an honest discussion. It opens up too many wounds for them. Okay, at least that's my opinion on it.
You know, as much criticism as Facebook gets, that was the only place I saw that at, and I had to look it up after I had seen it on Facebook to see if
it was sort of
true.
hard trying to find
Oh,
any
yeah, it was
other
hard trying to
sources.
find.
Yeah.
I mean, I never saw it in the paper. Not that I read the paper that much, but no headlines, CNN, anything like that. You know, I had to actually look it up after, like I said, I saw a mention of it in a Facebook feed, and then from there went and kind of looked at it. But as far as the main details of it, I still don't know a whole lot about it.
Right. I still was able to only find very little about it myself still.
What this reminds me of, and I said this to Dale on the way coming here, is we're living back in the time of Emmett Till, Scottsboro Boys.
Yes, very
okay?
much so.
Except for when we get the news, it travels a little bit faster.
Except
Okay.
for one major difference. Now there's cell phones.
That's what I
That's
said.
documented. The technology
Social
stuff
media.
has a lot.
That's
You're
what
right,
I
a
said.
lot has not changed.
Well, that's
in
what I
all that
said.
time.
The information, we get it a lot quicker. That's all. But we are living in that very same type of atmosphere of us as a people and what is happening, and no one wants to deal with it. And we can't get a lot of, and we don't get a lot of media press on things like this because it opens up wounds that have to be discussed. That especially with, I think there's a movement that is not seen, okay? Because I think people of African descent in this country are beginning to ask the question, okay? What are my options outside of marching, okay, and protesting?
Well, you know the thing I look
They're
at
beginning to
is-
ask
is
this
the
question
pretty
because
much
you're
like
not getting any
saying.
results.
But the whole thing is, there's so many
I don't
people
think so.
still asleep to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's the thing.
That's
Right.
what I don't understand.
No.
Is why so many people aren't reacting more.
Because what are
than
they?
that.
Because you have to answer the question. I'm not if you're gonna march, okay?
March.
Okay.
We should have marched a long time ago.
But-
I mean,
but
let
we
me-
should still be marching.
No, let me finish my point. My point is that's why people are not marching. Because if you're gonna march and you don't get what you want, people are beginning to ask the question: what is the purpose of marching when I'm not gonna get what I want? So what is the next strategy? What else? What is the option to bringing about change? Because they are not responding. We are not getting anywhere just marching. All we do when people march, and I'm not a marcher, but when people march, all they're
And
simply doing...
that's the issue. We can't get enough people marching. It's one thing you have a handful,
No, they have
but we need numbers.
No, but-
because
but-
think about the Million Man March. How much press that received and how people got involved.
So
When
what
you
did
have
that
a hand,
accomplish?
when you have a hand, well, it was like this. I think that you got the attention,
And
I
nothing
think
came out of
I
it.
think what
That's what I
happened.
mean. I
I
don't
think
know what
we
happened.
did the marching, but there was, to me, there should have been some other.
There was some other things.
movements
There was some
going
other
on
things that...
and carrying it forward. Keep going. Think about the young people now that are addressing the gun issue and how they're doing one thing. They had the gathering in D.C. They have been outside the White House. They have gone to Paul Ryan's house, and they're doing different things. The problem is the media has stopped covering it, and that's where the media has too much control. Because if you don't have media coverage, people don't know what's going on.
Well,
that's one of the issues that's happening. Just what we're talking about right here. You know, the lynchings that are going on, and this is only one. There are others that have happened.
It's who the Parkland students. The history is showing they got the media because of who they are. Okay, last time I was on this show, I said the same thing. Dream Defender did the same thing that Parkland student
Myron, you're
did.
very depressing. You know that?
No,
yes, you are.
no,
You're depressing as all get up. I mean, hopeless.
But see, nobody
I
wants.
feel like, okay, we could just turn the microphones off and go home.
No,
and it's done. It's all over.
There are options, but these options have to be discussed. If you're going to march, okay, and you are not getting the results, that you want from marching, then what are you going to do?
Okay.
Okay, that's the question that I'm beginning to hear about people saying, okay, if we march and we don't get the result, what is the next step? And that is a discussion that we have to have.
Okay, all right, Myra. Okay, time out. Time out. What do you suggest? What do you think will be effective?
Well, you only really have one other option outside of that. Remember, let me just do it. Let me do it this way. Let me say, remember back in the day. Remember back in the day when they used to, when you got in a confrontation and you say, you put the stick on your shoulder,
you know what?
and say knock it off, and the person knocked it off. What did you do? You had to fight. Okay.
Right. But the thing is, you know what? So that's our problem. We get in a room and we talk about, back and forth, but nothing comes of it. Until we can unite and have a plan, a vision, or something, we're going to stay right where we are.
But again,
we need to unite around the fact that we need to build a good economic base for the average person. Get the people educated so they can have jobs that can pay them some money, businesses where they can spend it at, our own businesses, and come together. Come together to the point where we can make economic demands on the major corporations.
Yeah, but we got to break it down even further than that, because we have people hurting, need jobs, and all of that's fine. But before we even get to that, I think, one of the things that disappoint me about what happened to Colin Kaepernick is the fact that we didn't get behind him. He sacrificed his job, and we did not get behind him.
Okay.
There should have been millions of us saying, okay, we're not going to support this or support that until he gets a job or until something come of it. That's what hurts me, that we did not get behind Colin Kaepernick, and that's why people are like, turning deaf ear to wanting to do something. We, the people, we African American people of color.
The we that should have gotten 100% behind it is not necessarily the people who are not playing the game. The individuals who are on the field playing the game, had you had 100% of the NFL talent on the field to say no.
But wait a minute. The
answer is
why?
No. We can't wash one hand with just one hand.
Wait a minute. If you are playing in the game and you see what's happening to Colin Kaepernick, that folks outside the game isn't getting behind him, are you going to jump out there? I'm not going to stick my neck out there. Had there been numbers. Had there been numbers where we got behind him, then people playing the game probably would say, okay, I'm gonna take a knee as well.
That's a recipient.
Okay, but why didn't we do our part?
Okay.
Why are y'all avoiding the question? Why didn't we do our part? I mean, are you all willing to stop watching football?
I didn't watch football. I did not. Let me tell you this. When that happened, I was at a football game. It was a college football game. When he decided to do that, at the football game, when everybody stood up for the national anthem, because this is before he kneeled, he was sitting. I sat, okay? It embarrassed the people that I was with, okay? Because I would not get up, okay? So guess what? Every game that I went to with these people, what did they do? The second time, they knew I was going to sit. They said, well, come on, I need you to do this with me to get me out, okay? So I can only speak for me. I participated. I do not watch professional football. I barely watch college football, okay? Because it's a plantation within itself. It is a plantation within itself.
I think y'all are missing the big thing.
No, but I'm
Look, when she say we, I think she mean we the fans, because we're more important.
Right.
We're more important to the game than the players, really.
Yes, we are. Because they can play, but if we are not buying a ticket, there is no reason to play.
I won't buy the ticket if there's no talent on the field.
As much as those tickets cost.
No one.
Come on, Uncle Mo.
I'm telling you, listen. If there's no talent on the field, there is no game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will cripple them. All right, look. For all the ones who did not watch football
You can
this
have
year,
no
the game
talent
went
on the
on.
field, but if you've
The
already bought
game
a
went
season
on.
ticket, they already got
But the
their money.
vast majority of
The
people who
game
buy season
went
ticket
on.
are not us.
The
Okay,
game went on.
you got to remember. You have to remember that what really drove the Colin Kaepernick story was Donald Trump eventually getting involved. Okay, which is now has come out that they colluded or conspired against him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so the vast majority of the people who were behind Colin Kaepernick were not people at the game. The football players, I agree. If more of the players, now remember the guy Eric Reed who also participated. What is he doing now? He's begging to get back in the NFL so that he can make the money.
You know why I have
the
a problem
money-
with what
the
you
money
all are
in the
saying?
NFL.
We are shifting the responsibility
But
on someone else.
see, the money
What
in the
about our
NFL is
part
from
in
the
this? This is
TV.
what I'm
I
talking
did my
about.
part, you know.
On the TV, you got to get people to turn their TVs on.
Well, you know what? We have
That's the
social
real
media
money.
now.
If
That's
a
true.
company-
But I think if you
if a company loses its market base, they'll die fairly slowly.
If they lose their product.
lose their product, they die over the weekend.
Right.
If they lose
In other
their
words,
product,
the-
they
If
will
those
die
players
over
have
the
said
weekend.
we're not going to do that.
it should be both,
If the
but I'm
Dallas
saying
no
Cowboys
ratings,
put Cole
if you
Beasley in the
had the
backfield to run the
had those
ball,
ratings.
understand this, they are devastated,
Well,
and they're
again,
not doing anything.
and nobody's going to watch it.
again,
okay. Well, we gotta take a break. We'll be right back, y'all.
Yeah. See, all I'm saying.
Yeah. This is Tanya Free. Is your business in need of a cash infusion to help your business grow? Been told no by the banks? If you've been in business at least a year and have $10,000 in gross monthly revenue, give our friend Anthony Gibson at Fast Advance Funding a chance to say yes based on the strength of your business, not your credit history. Give Anthony a call at 215-642-0686. That's Anthony Gibson, Fast Advance Funding, 215-642-0686.
Tune into Just Jazz on Saturday nights from 9 until 11 p.m. right here on Tanya Free and Friends Radio Network. Join me, Ty Bailey, as I showcase the best in jazz, current releases, reissues, and selections from past great recordings. It's all right here on Tanya Free and Friends Radio Network at TanyaFree.com. Just Jazz is also streamed 24 hours a day. TyBailey.com.
Sponsorship and advertising for the Tanya Free and Friends talk show and the Tanya Free and Friends Radio Network is provided by Freedom Marketing Incorporated, 844-321-1010, or email us at info@tanyafree.com for more information.
This is Tanya Free. TanyaFree.com is your destination for the best in social and political straight talk, breaking news, commentary, podcasts, music, and more. Stay in the know. Visit TanyaFree.com today.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I stand my ground. Won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground. And I won't back down. I won't back down. Hey, baby. There ain't no easy way out. I won't back down. I'll stand my ground. And I won't back down. Well, I know what's right. I got just one line. In a world that keeps on pushing me around, but I'll stand my ground. And I won't back down. I won't back down, baby.
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open right now at area code 804-321-1010 in Central Virginia and 844-321-1010 coast to coast.
Back down.
Welcome back to the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show. I found the names of the two young men that we were speaking about earlier that were lynched in Oklahoma. Elise, I think that's how you pronounce it, A-L-I-Z-E, Smith, and Jerron Moreland. They were both 21. And like it's Alizé Smith and Jerron Moreland. And like I said, they were both 21. They were dismembered. Their bodies were dismembered and thrown into a pond. Like I said, it's just amazing that this story, didn't get more media coverage.
They just calling us Craigslist double murders. All they really
Right, that's what it was. And this story was posted on May 2nd. Like I said, there are others that I was looking for that I have heard about but can't find any information to document it, so I won't speak of those. But there are other stories that I do want to cover.
Well, before you go any further about the media, and this is, to me, this is funny. They took Roland Martin off the air, 7 o'clock in the morning. The other morning I was up, and I just was wondering, what did they replace him with? You know what they replaced him with at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Good times.
Good times.
Maybe it wasn't.
And I'm like, they took Roland Martin because if he was on, we may have gotten more information.
Exactly.
Okay, but Roland, it was taken off, and guess what? What is it? TV1? TV1?
TV1.
It's owned by who? Is it still owned by under Sheila?
Kathy Hughes.
Kathy Hughes.
Kathy Hughes. TV1.
I don't think so.
Okay, but anyway, it's a station that caters to us. Okay, but they took Roland Martin off, and I don't know of any other news broadcast. But I believe if he was on, we would have gotten that story.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because he was covering stuff
he
that you
was
did
covering,
not get.
But understand, if Kathy Hughes doesn't own it anymore, they understand the people who do own it. What is the mindset? Not to provide for us at least that ability to get information.
Well, then it supports what you said earlier with the fact that what I was saying, I guess more so, that why did they take him off? Chances are they were not getting sponsors in order to keep it on, which means that we weren't watching it, or like I said, they couldn't get sponsors. So,
well, again, I see. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but sometimes a person like Roland Martin, let's get him off the air, okay? Because he is someone who's getting information out and very articulate,
Lightning
about,
rod.
to get it out. And he has the ability to raise the level of awareness. But and that's why I'm bringing this up, because I can't imagine how many people getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning to watch Good Times.
And plus, he was competing with the national news.
Right.
That was more so, I think, the issue, because I was surprised when they moved it to 7 o'clock. I preferred, I think it was at 9 before, it was 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I would prefer it had stayed in that time slot.
Well,
like you said, I think by them trying to compete with national news sources, I think that was, to me, I think that killed it too.
Well, it may have, but I think at 7 o'clock in the morning, people getting up, getting dressed to go to work and turning on the news. There were those of us who turned on TV One 7 o'clock in the morning because we were already up, getting ready to go out, and that was our news source for the day, or to start, because the other news sources are on all day, and it's going to be a repeat over and over. So
but you figure he had to compete with Michael Strayhorn and what's the black girl's name, and more people look at the color of the people that's giving the news.
I agree with you, Dan. I agree with you 100%. Right. I agree with you.
I'm not disputing that. I'm simply saying that we had an opportunity to have a news source that catered to what we needed to hear.
Right.
Once again, it goes back to us supporting.
Right. Well,
supporting, like I said, supporting sources that are in our best interest. Colin Kaepernick, we weren't there. We didn't support.
I was there.
I don't know what it's going to take in order for us to unite and support things that will, I think, will make a change.
Education.
Work in our favor.
Education, and when I say education, I'm saying self-education, okay?
I agree with you 100%.
Where people are going to have to figure out what's important to them. They're going to have to figure out what they don't know and what they want to know, or to get a clarification on, okay? That's because the news media, our education system, will not educate you about the things to our best interests.
Okay,
that's
hold that thought, because
reality.
we're going to talk about education in a little bit. Let me go to another story that has been catching a lot of I don't know, not a lot of media, but I think social media. A young man was punched in the face brutally by police officers in Milwaukee as a result of being in a mall. And the original Black Panthers is calling for a boycott of the mall. And I don't know if you saw the video, but this was a 17-year-old black kid, and he was in the mall, and from what I can understand, the police officers were called because he would not leave the mall. Now, when I looked at the video, it looked like he was handcuffed, and I can't understand why they were punching him in the face.
Because the police...
He was outside the mall when it was
right,
punching.
outside the mall, correct. But his hands were, from what I can see in the video, his hands were behind his back, looked like they had already handcuffed him, and the officer was just punching him in the face.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to stop until other police officers start enforcing the law above that brotherhood of blue. And I understand they got to support each other, but their main emphasis needs to be support what is law, what is rule of law.
Okay.
You can't assault someone.
I disagree with you. What you're saying is true, but that's not going to happen, and it's going to be incumbent upon us to take
what
action.
What are us going to do?
Well, just what this Black Panther organization is doing, boycotting, protesting, coming together, and just doing what the Parkland students are doing. It's going to take uniting.
Are they talking about boycotting that mall? Is that what?
Yes, from my understanding, that's what they're doing.
Well, the police explanation is going to be, we're doing what we were trained to do.
Yep.
That's what they say most of the time.
So if they boycott
and also
the mall,
they're also calling for the officer to be fired as well.
No, I'm calling for the officer to be arrested and charged with assault. That's what I mean, because that's the only thing that's going to stop it. When someone gets shot 15 to 16 times and they don't even have a gun, somebody should be brought up on a murder charge.
Yeah, well, there's always another way to get that kind of attention. I'm not really an advocate, but I know I know people, and I've done a little study in society. What's going to end up happening is you're going to have a reciprocal nature of the same situation.
Right.
Well, you talk about starting all out war.
That's exactly what's going to imply. I remember some years back talking about, they were talking about people carrying, giving teachers the right to carry guns in schools, or I remember time you had students were assaulting teachers, and it was just going on. This is some years back, and I said, you know what? What's going to end up happening is some teacher is going to end up turning the stakes on a kid and end up beating some kid into the ground, or some teacher will end up having a gun in their purse or in their pocket, and in the midst of something serious going on, they're just going to get scared. They're going to pull their gun out in the classroom. I have said this, and I'm sticking behind it. I don't advocate it, but I know how people do. When you put a person to a situation where they feel they have no opportunity to do anything other than to defend themselves, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it extremely jealously, and whatever happens, wherever the bodies fall, that's where they fall. If you keep pushing a group of people to the point where after the march is going on, nothing's happened. Right. After we've had our say-so, nothing's happened. We have our day in court, we keep getting screwed in court. We keep doing this. I'm tired of singing. The preacher ain't doing nothing. I'm tired of marching. Eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to have individuals who are going to say, you know what? The laws of the country say I can do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to do it. And the first time I feel threatened, bang.
And that is exactly what I said in the last segment. After people are
they're
going to
do it.
People are tired
Y'all
of
are
marching.
too hostile for me.
Really,
y'all
I'm not hostile. I'm very realistic.
talking about taking a
Let me ask the question.
No, I can't go with that. I just
No.
can't.
I'm suggesting there's
Let
gotta
me
be
ask
a middle ground before.
What
we
is
get
the
to
middle
open
ground?
warfare.
If I
Before
say
we
to
get open
you,
warfare,
wait a
because
minute.
that's what we're talking
No,
about.
wait a minute. If
Wait
I-
a minute. Something more than being fired has got to change, because if you get fired in County X, I can go to County Z and get a
Exactly.
job.
That's why I'm
Because if you look
Exactly.
what
Maybe
happened
even
to
making better
when
money.
they pulled up on that young man on the
That
playground
has
with
happened.
the fake gun,
The
and he got shot by a cop.
Samir Rice.
Right.
That's exactly what happened to him.
But
He had other assaults, and he went from that department to the department where
Right.
he shot and killed Samir Rice.
So the question again, piggybacking on what he just said that I said in the last segment that no one wants to address. If you march and my demands are not met, then what do you do? That's the question. And people are going to have to answer that, because you know what? If the other thing, I'm getting tired. And here's what people are saying now, if you pay attention. They're saying we march and try to be peaceful about it, and we get no results. Okay? We'll get shot down in the street, and we're not doing anything. And we'll get shot down, arrested, abused, even when we are following the law, sitting in our cars, sitting in the mall, shopping, you name it. We are being abused. So guess what? And we have marched. What are we going to do now?
You got two things to your, that you can use: your vote and your dollar.
Okay, let's go with the vote. Let's go with the vote. All right. We have been voting on the issue of putting in the people that we think is going to represent us. Then why is it still going on?
Well, because I think the first thing that you said, I would reverse what you said. I agree with you. I would go with the dollar first. What I'm advocating is us coming together. I'll say what I said before. Us coming together, having our own businesses, buying from ourselves, building up our community. And when I say build up our community, buying areas in blocks and have our homes and have our homes nice.
Let me address that, because again, these are some
Nah,
of the discussions. These are some of the discussions.
Not on the level I'm talking about.
No. We have Black Wall Street. Okay.
Right.
Black
Why can't we build Black Wall Street
wait
again?
A minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me finish.
Okay, wait a minute. Let him finish.
We had Black Wall Street, but why was Black Wall Street destroyed? We didn't destroy.
I know you're right.
Black
we did.
Wall Street was destroyed because we didn't have
No.
the ways to defend it.
No. Okay, the way to defend it.
Right, we have ways to defend it.
But so you're still talking about being able to defend yourself. You're still talking about our ability to defend ourselves. And if you're going to have the ability to defend yourself, you're still talking about actually physical confrontation because it was
I'm
it
not
was
saying
destroyed.
Coming all the way back to the discussion.
That might not happen.
Right.
But I'm saying that there's got to be some other ways before we go there.
Well,
right.
that brings us all the way back to the same discussion with about Korea, North Korea.
Well, right now,
everything that you have said, everything that you have said is already happening in history, and it has been
sounds like
destroyed.
we're going there already.
Marcus Garvey said, "Okay, y'all don't want us here. Y'all gonna mistreat us and abuse us." Got it together, and people start going back to Africa. They said, "No, we can't have that," and destroyed him to keep us from leaving this country. Okay, Black Wall Street, Durham, North Carolina, 2nd Street here. So we have done all the things historically that you're talking about. That didn't bother anybody. We kept our dollars in our community. Okay?
Well, I would say the situation here on
I
would say the situation over here, 2nd and Durham, is a little different from Black Wall Street. And we are partially responsible for what happened on 2nd and Durham.
No question.
We didn't have to go and buy from
no question, but
whatever stores instead of buying from the businesses.
Well, warfare is warfare. You don't have to shoot a man to win this thing.
Yeah, but
the most effective level of warfare is to make you turn against yourselves and take your resources after the fact.
That's what I'm saying.
You all are too hostile.
I think
with
there's
no
a step
plan.
we need to go
before
that.
I am asking a question.
Well, look.
That's all I'm asking.
And I'm giving you my solution, working together.
No, you're telling me
Working
something
together.
that we've already have done.
We have not worked together.
No, we have not.
We have not worked together since we had the
And it works.
opportunity not to.
Well, look at Dr. King. He didn't go to fighting with guns and all those.
Okay,
There's no Black Talk commentary today, but we want to say hello and give a shout out to our friend Scotty Reed.
Let me tell you something. And
We split.
I've been around a while.
We went elsewhere.
I know wrong from right.
Yeah.
Learned a long time ago.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Things ain't always black and white. Just like you can't judge a book by the cover. We all got to be careful how we treat one another. Skin deep.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is a presentation of Freedom Marketing Incorporated. All rights reserved. Views and comments expressed are not necessarily the views of the host and or this station.
Skin deep underneath. We all the same. We all are the same. Man in Louisiana, he never called me by my name. He said, boy, do this and boy, do that, but I never once complained. I knew he had a good heart, but he just didn't understand that I needed to be treated just like any other man. Skin deep, underneath, we all the same. Skin deep, underneath, we all the same. We all are the same.
Are you searching for the best in online black radio? Then go to blacktalkradionetwork.com, helping you filter through the noise. Real talk, black talk.
Have you checked out Tanya Free TV on Ustream? Watch our radio broadcast live and catch up on past video podcasts. Download the app or go to ustream.tv to follow Tanya Free and Friends. Stay in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or text the word Tanya to 63975. Join the conversation. Tanya Free and Friends, on air, online, on point.
We are searchlights we can see in the dark. We are rockets pointed up at the stars. We are billions of beautiful hearts. And you sold us down the river too far. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disaster? What about love? What about trust? What about us? We are problems that want to be solved. We are
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open right now at area code 804-321-1010 in Central Virginia and 844-321-1010 coast to coast.
But man, you fooled
Okay.
us.
I'm getting ready to shoot Myron. Just want everybody to know.
Shoot me. You know what? They shot Malcolm because Malcolm told the truth.
I think Byron's just a little ahead of the, as far as I'm concerned, we need to develop an economic base, because what we were talking about when we were off air was spending at our own businesses and developing our own businesses and developing the neighborhood.
Right.
My thought process right now, because it's definitely not against defending yourself. I'm definitely, that's not. But what I'm going is I want to go with something positive first. And if that doesn't
Be a
work,
little more diplomatic.
then
yeah,
I
well-
guess we
Yeah,
got
be
to
a
blow
little
it
more
up.
diplomatic.
Well, here's the thing. What happens if you go in and you just go back into the books a little bit and you realize that what you're talking about has actually been done? We've done this before.
Well, here's my point.
Well, hold up. We've done this before, and you've had a very nefarious influence that have come in and have made it a point to wipe that out. Not because we don't want to see you successful, but we know that when you make your own economic avenues to spend your money with your own people, that means you're not spending your money with us. And we don't care who you are. We want your dollar. So we're going to do everything we can to knock your business out. So we put up the larger stores to make sure that your mom and pop's hardware store doesn't make it, the mom and pop's restaurant doesn't make it, the mom and pop's clothing store doesn't make it, and then you got to come out of your neighborhood to go over here to spend your money on this side of town because the Tallheimers over here, these stores don't make it. You got to come over here to spend your money. So there are a lot of moving parts, even to this discussion. So at some point, it is going to come down to the mere fact, in my opinion, is what are you willing to do to ensure, and I use that word very selectively, what are you willing to do to ensure that you do make it as a people? And at the end of the day, it is going to come down to, do you have the capability to protect what you have?
Right.
And
I'm
that is
okay.
not
And
that
I'm-
is not that is
What
not
was
that is
the
not
biggest
one-sided
thing
done
that
by a vote.
happened to destroy black businesses?
There's a lot of moving parts there, in my opinion.
In my opinion, it was desegregation.
Okay.
When we were unable to buy other places, we bought there. What happened to me is the mindset changed, and we went out to different stores and different bought. If we had kept a mindset of being a family, being a people, supporting each other, then those businesses would have thrived.
Other nationalities do it.
Now wait, and one last thing. it goes back to what you're saying. We need to educate our people that we need these businesses in our communities so we had a job.
Okay, y'all hold that thought. Let's go to the next story here. This one really got me. 65-year-old black woman,
Oh,
a
I saw
senior,
that.
was dragged out of her car during a traffic stop.
I saw the video.
And when I saw the video, I'm like, are you serious? I mean, I was just blown away. Why? For a couple of things. She's 65 years old. What threat does she pose to them? Why were there so many officers?
I know my grandma at 65 years old could pull a flea off your shoulder with a shotgun. So I'm not gonna say a 65-year-old black woman can't do nothing.
Come on, Uncle
I know
Mo.
that to be
Come on,
a
Uncle Mo. Come
true.
on. We talking officers here. Come on. Come on.
That is just
Come
not
on.
accurate. It can happen.
I mean,
I
my
don't
thing is, you mean to
understand.
tell me? What's it? Nikki says Myron is too angry of white people,
Too afraid.
too afraid of white people to think clearly.
Let me respond to
Go
Nikki.
ahead, respond.
Nikki, go read your history and understand that in this country, I'm not afraid of white folks. What I am Pan-African, okay, which means that I'm only concerned about my people, us as a people, my descendant that will come after me. Because if we don't put something in place to benefit our people, there will be nothing, okay? This generation, let me just say this, my generation was the last generation that lived in segregation and moved into integration. So I know what it is to live in segregation. I never had a white teacher until I was in the 7th grade, okay? So, and I was part of the busing in Richmond in 1970. So I'm not afraid of white people. My concern is us. And I do not think in the terms of how white folks have educated us to think. Okay? I'm not afraid of them.
Okay.
They are afraid of me or anything.
Yeah, probably so. I'm afraid of you at times.
Well,
Well, let me say this. Thank you, Nikki, for your text. And I want anyone that wants to send us a text, they can text Tanya Free at 63975, or they can give us a call at 804-321-1010. Our toll-free number 844-321-1010. Hope that you would join the conversation and give us your comments and your thoughts. Go
Well,
ahead.
one thing about
Yeah.
the 65-year-old lady, what escalated the whole thing is the fact that she would not sign the ticket.
Right.
Having all your information, your registration, your license, what was the purpose that they made it against the law not to sign the ticket?
Right.
See?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
But
and-
you're right. It was she had, well, according to law, she had to sign it or
Right.
be arrested.
Right.
And one of the things that we have to do a better job is knowing what the laws are, what our rights are, and like you said, knowledge is power. That's very true. When I saw this, I'm like, okay, I want to find out what my rights are in Richmond, in Virginia. That if I am pulled over, do I have to sign? What is it? What is it that I'm signing? Is it admission of
The
guilt?
sign
No,
the
but
sign
here's
of
the
the ticket is
thing.
not an admission of guilt. It's basically saying
That
that
you gonna-
you
you
gotta show up.
acknowledge the stop, you acknowledge the infraction, and you are
will
now
come-
consenting to say I'll either pay for it in advance or I will show up to court to address
But you
the,
are not required.
the charge on the
Okay,
But you are
ticket.
not required to sign the ticket. You are not
Well,
required to
according
sign
to
the
this,
ticket.
it said
said
she
it was
was,
law.
according to this, it said
It was law.
by law, she had to sign it or be arrested.
And it is in Virginia as well.
Well,
Let me ask you this. Let me go back to something you said. You said pay for in advance. What does that mean?
You don't have to go to court.
Depending on the infraction, not all you can do that, but depending on it's like the traffic violations.
Right.
Depending on the infraction, you can pay for the violation in advance in lieu of going to court, or you can go to court and have your day in court, as they say, and fight the terms of the violation they give you. But by signing that
let me
ticket-
stop you right there. So if I get pulled over by an officer for ticket infraction or whatever, I can. He said, "Okay, this is $50. I can give him the $50."
No,
right
no,
now.
no, 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 no,
Okay, I'm trying to understand when you say that. And what are you saying?
You end up having to pay that.
By mail or the courthouse?
You sign the ticket that says I acknowledge that you gave me this. Pretty much, it's almost like a receipt. I acknowledge that you gave me this thing, and I acknowledge I
But
have
isn't
I
that
have a
still
court
an
date, et cetera, et
admission
cetera.
of guilt, being that you said you gave
No,
me this
it's not.
because
No.
you gave
It
me
actually-
this
it
because
actually
you gave
says
me
it-
this for whatever it
it
is.
actually
You saying
says
that I was speeding
It actually
and I wasn't.
it actually says it in the verbiage, at least in Virginia, it does on the back of the ticket. It's by signing this is not admission of guilt.
Okay, if I see those words, I'm good.
A police officer in Virginia actually has to inform you of something by signing this is not admission of guilt.
I'm fine.
So here's my question.
And that
What
could be the
about-
reason why she wanted to speak to a supervisor.
Maybe.
She did not
Maybe
understand
she was
that.
unclear.
It was unclear. She did not understand that.
Right.
What
so
about
why didn't they get the
negotiators?
supervisor then?
What, right, the negotiator to say, talk to the lady and talk her out of the car. I mean, unless she was like just totally out of her mind, why would you grab a woman like that, an older woman like that?
65
talk
years
to
old,
her
you had
and
more than
explain
2
to her,
officers.
Take some time and explain to her what the situation is and talk her out of the car. I can't see why they couldn't.
The officer said, and this was the key. He said, "I did what I was trained to do."
Right.
He
Then
responded,
his training
Well,
is
I mean,
not adequate. Then.
Because
when
wait a
they
minute.
have a hostage situation, they can call in somebody to do that.
But his response was, "I did what I was trained to do." That's very key to me.
His
because
response,
he did-
but that won't hold up
It
because
won't hold up.
that's not what he was trained to do.
Right.
So
No,
that's an
it
airfield
won't-
statement. That
What
won't
he
hold
needed to
anywhere.
do, or they needed to do, was call someone that is a psychologist type of person that could talk to the lady calmly.
No,
and
well, she
convince her
asked.
to
She asked.
get out of the
She
car
asked for the
without-
right. The
They
right person.
asked
The right
for the
person for it is
supervisor.
is the right person
Okay,
for it
the
is the
supervisor.
supervisor on
Right.
shift.
Supervisor.
If he
Is the
if,
supervisor qualified to talk calmly?
he's a cop.
And not,
He's a cop. He
that didn't
he
affect-
comes on. No,
that
it
didn't
doesn't.
affect the situation.
He comes to the scene and he
He's just a
informs.
senior cop.
He's
All
supposed,
right?
based on what she asked for, her expectation was the supervisor to come onto the scene and to explain to her the terms of the ticket and why. Look,
Right.
if I don't feel comfortable signing this, this is saying that I did this and I know I didn't do it. Well, she needs to go to court and defend that
Right.
her position on this. But by signing this ticket, it's not saying that you did it or you didn't do it. It's just saying that you comply to either pay it up front or you can come to court.
But my point
if she
is,
didn't understand that, that's why she stayed in the car.
I don't care about any of that. I don't care.
And it's nighttime and you're black on the side of the street with a cop. I don't feel comfortable
If she does
either.
not want to get out of the car, and it's a woman like you can call for a senior officer or someone should be 24 hours a day on call to come out and talk to a person instead of snatching them out of the car like that.
Well, he used profanity. He raised his voice.
There you
and
go.
then the media poisoned the whole situation by saying she had been arrested 2
Yeah,
other times.
I don't know what was the purpose of
Okay.
that. You're right, exactly. They had
Using
absolutely
profanity
no
and
purpose.
raising your voice are not breaking the law in this situation, though. So they can. It looks
Yeah, but
the
learning-
optics are terrible.
learning
Yes, but
how-
they're not going to get them
But
on
my
that.
point
That ain't
is
gonna happen.
learning how to talk to someone and you're in that position.
Agreed.
I don't think the best approach to someone in that position is to use
Because you
profanity.
escalated. You
Right,
escalated.
you
'Cause
escalated.
what happens if she's one of these pistol toting
If-
grandmas that says, "Hey, look, you ain't talking to me no
if
kind of
you-
way, and I
your
got something to
training-
stop this mess," and
your
they end up
training
shooting
should
her.
be to de-escalate.
You are hostile today.
I'm
She
saying your
was
training
65
should
The truth ain't got no
years
friends, man.
His
Chances are
training
she
should
was
have been
not
to de-escalate
pistol-
the situation.
She was not a pistol carrying grandma.
No, she wasn't.
It sounds like to me what it was. She was not going to. She did not want to sign the ticket because it appears to me that she probably thought that was some sort of admission of guilt.
Right.
And she asked for the supervisor. I don't know why they didn't get the supervisor on the phone so he can talk to her, or someone show her on the ticket that okay, this
Maybe-
is
maybe
not
they
an
did.
admission.
I
This
have
is not an
seen-
admission of guilt.
Maybe they did
I
call the
have
supervisor.
seen
Or-
trained counselors talk people down, and they were trained to do that. If someone on that police force should have been available to talk her down.
Basically,
not choke her
a
out.
female. They should have had a female come to the
Right.
situation.
That would have helped.
Yes.
And
Why are you looking at me incredulous?
That wouldn't. I don't think it would. I mean,
I'm
it
for
could have.
education, educating black
It could.
people
It could
and
have
white
helped.
people.
It could have
You
helped.
don't handle stuff like that.
It could have helped.
That's I'm saying make the police
Well, they should have
department
had someone
accountable.
trained. They should have had someone
Train someone
trained.
trained.
There should have been
Should have
someone
been there.
trained
Well,
to
wait a
have
minute,
handled
you
that
know.
in a professional manner that they
Wait a
did not
minute.
have to
Didn't
drag
I-
the woman.
Didn't I say that the police officer said he did what he was trained to do? Now, it may not hold up in court, but it stands that his action to what she said, okay, or refused to sign the ticket. He took action based upon what they taught him. This is his defense. It doesn't matter that whether it hold water. This is his defense. So we have to listen with an open mind and say, well, wait a minute. At least this is what I ask.
Well,
if
then-
you were trained to do
Well, then
this,
his training needs to change.
well,
Right,
so
exactly.
so
All
that
right?
is an
So
indictment.
now I think the answer is to sue the city, whatever their government is, so that they'll get it. So they'll get it changed.
And so what he did in his statement,
And she won't win the case.
is to indict the police officer. I mean the police department. See,
For-
that's why I'm saying it was important to listen
For lack
to
of
them,
training.
because
For his training.
because he indicted the police department and say, look, I did what y'all trained me to do. whether
Now
you
they're
like it or
calling
not.
for an internal
Let's talk-
investigation.
let's
Well,
the law.
he resigned,
Yeah, he resigned.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
understand
But he's
now.
gonna get a job.
He can go
only-
somewhere else.
He
Yes,
only
he is.
resigned because he didn't feel as though the chief backed him. That's the
Yeah,
only
you're probably
reason
right.
he
The chief
You're
resigned.
shouldn't
probably
have
right.
backed him.
It's good. It's about
Probably
time.
right.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
That's
It's
right
the
gotta
for
reason
happen.
why he resigned.
That's what
And
I'm
the
saying.
chances
It's gotta
are-
He
happen.
did right.
And he doesn't
But
need
look
to be
here.
hired by another police department.
And
Show me,
Chances are-
show me the law broken.
And chances are,
It's not a matter
this
of
would
whether
not
the
been
law
an
is
issue.
broken.
Well,
It
that's
would've
the
been
only
another-
conversation then.
Well,
if
I'm
there ain't no
sorry.
law broken, I don't think she got much to work on.
I think that when you're endangering a woman's life for no reason, and by reason I mean they could have talked her down and handled the situation calmly, whether it's law or not. I think there's a case for a civil justice
Right,
to
because
that.
that's civil and criminal.
Well,
so
you
there
know-
may
you know
not
what?
be any
Well,
criminal law.
the civil lawsuit may dissipate when the reality that she may have broken the law precipitated the
According-
entire
according-
conversation.
But the thing is,
you know what?
is, by her being 65 years old,
Thank you.
we probably would not be even talking about this. And
Agreed. You know
the
what?
officer probably would not have resigned.
And you know
but
what?
because she
You're
was
right.
65, and you're like, okay, wait
If
a minute,
it was
this
an
woman is
18-year-old young man, it still would have been wrong.
No,
Right,
Well,
but not,
if
I'm
he was
not saying-
18
I'm
or
not
if he
saying-
signed
I'm
that
not
ticket,
saying
they
it
pull him
would've
out of
been
that car, if he
I'm
bucks, he
saying-
gets
I'm
shot.
saying it probably would not have
Right.
made.
All right,
But
so
it's
now
still-
let's talk
but
about
it's
reality
still-
here now.
That's still wrong.
It is.
But my point is this:
You baited it.
You going past, you going beyond that when you go to a 65-year-old woman.
But I'm
and you gonna
saying,
physically drag her
but
out of
wait
the
a
car?
minute, wait. What I'm saying is that had she not been 65, had she been 18, we probably wouldn't even be talking about this because the media probably would not have covered it.
Nah,
It's
if
only
she
about-
was 18 with the same thing,
She
she'd have
didn't
got her
stay in
tail
the
whipped
lane. It's only
beside
about
her
her
Today,
not staying in
today's
the
jazz
lane.
break is After Our Boogie by Jack McDuff, sponsored by Hong Kong Tales, Richmond, VA. Check them out.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is sponsored in part by
Hong Kong Custom Tailors is celebrating 50 years in Richmond. Visit their brand new expanded showroom, 1839 West Broad. Custom ready-to-measure suits for less than authorized suits at other retailers. Custom monogrammed shirts, pants, sports coats, overcoats, designer shoes, headwear, women's fashions, expert alterations, and more. All first-time shoppers will get a 10% discount just by saying Tanya Free sent you. Hong Kong Custom Tailors, 1839 West Broad, 359-5441.
There's so many ways to listen to Peachtree Radio FM. Go to rsgame.org, download the RS Game web client while playing your game. Press Control B and arrow down to Peachtree Radio FM. Also, dial the telephone number 641-552-5194. Download the Peachtree Radio FM app from the App Store and Google Play Store. Listen at Peachtree Radio FM on TuneIn Radio, iBlink Radio, and the new website, PeachtreeRadioFM.net. There's so many ways to listen to Peachtree Radio FM. Well, some listen to remember and some listen to forget.
Did you know on July 30th, 2002, Lisa Leslie became the first player to dunk in a WNBA game? My name is Aaliyah Cook, and I am living life with a purpose with Tanya Free and Friends.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is sponsored in part by
Furniture at the Venus. Hi, I'm Chocolate Chip, and your home is the place that says the most about who you are. Furniture at the Venus has a huge selection of styles that make a statement. Visit our showroom at 1420 Hall Street, Suite A, and check out our full line of dining room sets, living rooms, and bedroom sets, and more. Be sure to ask about our weekly Tanya Free and Friends specials on everything in the store, including king and queen mattresses, sets to fit any budget. With new arrivals daily, let Charles and Nancy Shaw show you their complete line of home furnishings and accessories. Give them a call at 804-232-3500. That's 804-232-3500. That's Furniture at the Venus, 1420 Hall Street, in the heart of Southside Richmond.
If I can reach the stars, pull one down for you, shining on my heart, so you could see the truth. Then this love I have inside is everything it seems. But for now I find it's only in my dreams that I can change the world. I will be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Maybe if I could change the world.
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open right now at area code 804-321-1010 in Central Virginia and 844-321-1010 coast to coast.
I have no other way.
Pull it together because y'all saying some stuff that makes y'all someplace. Y'all want this to be on air. Okay.
Nope, sure don't.
I'm gonna go straight to the phones. Jagna from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hello, how are you, friend? You there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. How are you?
I am still learning. My name is Jenna.
Jenna. Okay, I'm sorry. Got it spelled wrong.
I'm at work, so I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. One of the points I think that not saying that y'all are missing the point, but I see it keep getting glazed over. The only reason, as far as Martin Luther King, the only reason they stopped attacking him is because of the threat of violence that was posed by the Deacons of Defense. So when we're saying that we should try to do all of these other things, we've already done that. Black Wall Street, like the gentleman was saying, was attacked, and we wasn't efficient enough with the protection. Now, as far as the man beating on the old woman, this is the same thing with them beating on our children, people that are trying to comply, and they just whooping us. And like he stated, he was doing what he was trained. Now, we have heard on many occasions the way they say we don't shoot white people, we only shoot black people, calling us out of our names,
right,
and every other kind of remark. So we have to take that into the context that it's being given, because they are telling us what they're doing. We just keep trying to make it to be something else. And that's all I want to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate your call.
And let me just say this about Martin Luther King that we keep forgetting too. Martin Luther King was not accepted until after his death. That's when he became the most popular, okay? Martin Luther King said that the most racist place he ever went to was Chicago, okay? So a lot of times, this is what I mean about history. They portray history as if Martin Luther King, and same thing with Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was one of the most hated men, okay, during his time. It wasn't until after he was no longer fighting that he became accepted. So, you know, they present history to us the way that they want it to be presented, rather than for us to know it as to exactly what happened during that time. So,
well, that makes them even more honorable for the mere fact that if you are fighting and you know people dislike you or hate you while you're in the fight, you are genuinely in the fight. Right. And that's why I have a passion for Colin Kaepernick, who took a knee, and I feel like no one was behind him. And it's a shame. What you're saying is that people won't recognize the work you're doing until after you're dead and gone.
And
that's
I'm talking
the
about the
sad
majority
part
of the
about
population. And the same thing, Colin Kaepernick, I believe, when in history, the story will be different because of how it is, and it depends upon who presents the story. Okay, so all of the stories that we hear, who's presenting it, and that's why I say, you know, people who claim, oh, Martin Luther King. When the European talks about Martin Luther King, they always want to talk about the part that they like. Okay, we're gonna judge each other by the content of our character. But you didn't do that while he was living.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
and you don't want to talk about, but he said a whole lot more than that. Okay, during his lifetime, and they hated him for that.
Well, so one of the things they really disliked about Martin was his stance against the Vietnam War.
At the end, and that was one of the things they say that got him killed, because at the end, if you remember, Martin was beginning to address the poor white folks and was saying, look, your issue is our issue.
It's the same as ours.
Okay, it's the same as ours. And so when he was going to Memphis to begin to address the poor people, poor white folks, and they were beginning to listen to him.
Right.
Okay, the unification between black and white during that time is what was the greatest threat, because if Martin could have pulled the people together, black and white, but we're then talking about a class of people, then it would have been a different story. So guess what? They got rid of Martin. That broke up the class, okay? Because, people misunderstand that what I'm saying is that I'm concerned about us as a people, but I'm concerned about poor white folks too. It's just that, and I sent you yes, I am. But I sent you an article a while back, and it said, why do white folks vote against their own interests? Okay, and it's a story out, and most of them vote against their own interests.
Knowledge.
Because they have been taught that you may be poor, but you are white and you're better than any black man. And that is a psychology.
Yeah,
that is a psychology. So you know what? Until they change their psychology, I can't change their psychology. I'm addressing my people, and when they decide that they want to get on board to go against injustice, period, then we can talk.
Okay, Pat asks how Myron is going to stop cops from treating us badly.
I'm not going to stop cops from treating us badly. That is not my ability to do. The only thing I can do is to be the best person I can and deal with an issue as it relates to me when it happens.
Pat tried to bait you into an answer just now.
You
don't want to have on the air.
Thanks,
Pat, but we can't do that.
All right, let me go to the next story, because I want to talk about this education thing before we leave. The student at Yale, a white student, called the cops on a black student because she was napping in the hallway comments or whatever you want to call it.
A Yale grad student at that.
Yeah, and my question would be, had this student, the napping student, been white, would she have called the police?
Heck no, because she's supposed to be there.
You know,
It's Yale.
so-
It's not for her.
Well, that's not the first time that she called the police on an African American, and she keeps saying that you don't belong here.
Yes.
And judging by the way she and the times she called the police, believe me, she knew every black student living in that dormitory and where they lived at.
That's it. She's looking for an infraction. She
That's
was
right.
trying to find some. I finally got you. I got
right.
you. I got
Well,
you.
we're living in a
Vigilant.
time now where
Vigilant.
white folks are calling the police on us just for being black. I have another story here where a white woman called the police on a black family just having a barbecue at a park. This is in Oakland, California.
She is
And
being
all they were
shamed
doing,
right
they
now.
were just minding their own business, and it was like a family reunion at a park. And she called the police. So, that's
Well,
one.
If you look at this whole situation historically, it goes back to the reason these police departments were started in the first place in the South as slave catchers. So now you got an empowerment of people that are racist. All right, they're being empowered by 45. So what they're doing is going, well, if you're not going to respond to me as I want you to, then I'm going to call the authorities. And authorities are supposed to put you in your place.
That's right.
But it goes back beyond even further what you just said, because there was a time in this country where if you were white, or if a white person told you what to do, you had to do it. Okay, and that's what Donald Trump is talking about when he said he's gonna make America great again. That's what we are confronted with. Okay,
Well,
so each of us are gonna have to come to a point as to what are you gonna do when you are confronted with that issue. Okay, the we only becomes we when enough of us are in the same mindset, moving in the same direction at the same time. And until we do that, it's I. Okay, I can only speak for me. I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for my action, and I am prepared to do what I think is best for me when that time comes.
Aren't we better when we stand together, united?
We are better, but you know what? Until we come together.
And how? And that's the question. How do we come together? Because I think that we give power to those that are trying to, destroy us by us individually.
Because let me tell you this.
Because they're taking us out individually, whether it's being arrested, shot, killed, whatever the case may be.
Listen.
Well, the gentleman in Baltimore that handled that same situation in the coffee shop, remaining calm,
Right.
and
Exactly.
still asserting their rights. Okay, I think that's one of the first things that I try to tell young people. You got to keep your head on your shoulders.
Right.
You can't always punch back. And I'm not saying give up your rights. I am definitely
or
not
your
saying
dignity,
that. Or your dignity.
Right, and I think right. I agree with you 100%. Maintain calmness and your dignity. Knowing your rights starts there, really.
Right. You better know what you can and can't do.
Let me say something else. It was another story. I think it was a gentleman. He used to work for President Obama. Can't remember the office, but he was moving into his apartment in New York. And the woman called the police on him because she thought he was breaking in. He was moving stuff in. So how do you figure somebody's breaking in and a burglar if they're moving stuff in? Well, one of the things that he did I thought was very smart. He called someone when the police got there. He had his phone on and had someone on the phone their entire time he was, interacting with the police officer. So he had more than one person to know what's going on besides himself. That's another thing you can do. If you are engaged with, law enforcement, put your cell phone on, call somebody if you can. If not, at least record the conversation. Mm-hmm. You don't have to let them know because they can probably confiscate it if they know that it's on. And like you said, remain calm, and then we need to educate ourselves in knowing what our rights are.
That's one aspect.
I want to hear yours. Oh.
No, that's one aspect. But again, it's what you educate yourself on and about. Okay.
Well, a lot of times it depends on what the person says when they call the police, the type of reaction they're going to get.
Right.
See, because
they can say something. They can say something like, "Oh, this person is armed," and the police thinking you're armed and you're not.
Well,
So
just saying that they're black.
Yeah.
And if you say you're black and armed,
Right.
you better come up with your hands up.
What happened to the guy? And I know you remember, he was laying on the ground and got shot.
You're
okay?
right.
See, so
Fruitvale Station.
So it doesn't really matter. And all I'm saying about that is that
It does matter. It does matter.
Well, look,
it can make a difference.
It makes it. But I'm saying we get shot regardless of what we do.
In some
okay, we've been
cases,
shot
yes.
because of bad
So,
situation.
okay, so
we've been shot because of good
Myra.
situation. So we are being
So
shot.
you're so okay. I'm not even going to ask that question. Let me respond. Steve says, if things are so bad for y'all in America, why not leave?
Well, my people built this country.
What you mean, y'all?
My people built this country, and we have every right to be here as much as you, Steve.
Already.
Well, I would say to Steve that, you know, you came here after we had been here, and then you brought your ancestors brought some of our people here to build this country. Okay, so we don't have to leave. You know, part of living in this country, we're trying to fix it. And my complaint is, we're trying to fix it, and they're trying to maintain a system that has always been against us.
And
that's what my complaint is. I'm trying to help fix what we can fix, but I'm doing it within our community. We fix that first,
And if
then we go out.
If he looks at his history, Mr. Lincoln wanted us to go to South America. He didn't want us to be here. See, so us being here is not something that we chose to do.
Alrighty, we'll take a break and be right back.
This right here, Tammy, goes out to everyone that has lost someone that they truly love. Check it out. Seems like yesterday we used to rock the show. I laced the track, you locked the flow. So far from hanging on the block for dough. Notorious, they got to know that life ain't always what it seemed to be. Words can't express what you mean to me. Even though you're gone, we still a team. Through your family, I'll fulfill your dreams. In the future, can't wait to see if you open up the gates for me. Reminisce sometime, the night they took my friend. Try to black it out, but it plays again. When it's real, feeling's hard to conceal. Can't imagine all the pain I feel. Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away. What a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you.
It's kinda hard with you not around. Know you in heaven smiling down, watching us while we pray for you. Every day we pray for you, till the day we meet again. In my heart is where I keep you, friend. Memories give me the strength I need to proceed, strength I need to believe. My thoughts big, I just can't define. Wish I could turn back the hands of time. Us in the six, shop for new clothes and kicks. You and me taking flicks, making hits, stages they receive you on. Still can't believe you're gone. Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is sponsored in part by
Marion Marketing Global. You know those guys over at Marion Marketing Global? They can do everything from billboards to bus signs. Marion Marketing Global, changing the world and expanding your brand every day, each day. Marion Marketing Global, 804-938-5218. Check us out on the web at marionmarketingglobal.com.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is sponsored in part by
Anthony Gibson, Fast Advance Funding, 215-642-0686. This is Tanya Free. Summer can be a difficult time for families of youth with behavior problems. Many kids with behavior problems just cannot make it in a traditional daycare or summer camp. But there is an option. Call my friends over at the Metropolitan Day School today, 804-321-2595, to see if your elementary or middle school age child is eligible. Breakfast, lunch, and transportation provided. Limited slots. First come, first serve. Call Miss Thomas today, 804-321-2595. The Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar.
You can have all the money in your hands, all the possessions anyone can ever have, but it's all worthless treasure. True worth is only measured not by what you got, but what you got in your heart. You can have everything, but what does it mean? It all means nothing if you don't stand up for something. You can't just talk the talk, you got to walk that walk. Yes, you do. It all means nothing if you don't stand up for something. And I stand up for you. And I stand up for you. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. You do the best that you can do. Then you can look in the mirror, proud of who's looking back at you. Define the life you're living, not by what you take, but what you're giving. And if you bet on love, there's no way you'll ever.
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open right now at area code 804-321-1010 in Central Virginia and 844-321-1010 coast to coast.
The sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, was doing community service on a highway. And the officer pulled over to the side and thought they were fighting. I am still trying to grasp what the heck he was thinking.
Gang members.
It makes absolutely no sense. They
Gang
look
members.
nothing like gang members. The sign above them says Litter Control, Interchange Area, Sigma Gamma Rho, alumni kids. I can't read the rest of it, but and they had on the shirts and everything. They had bags and everything, like they've been cleaning. So what was he thinking? I can't comprehend.
Somebody put a phone call into him and said, "There's some gang members on the side of the road picking up tin cans."
They were women.
Really?
They were women picking up stuff. I just.
Well, I know
This
one
makes
thing.
no sense to me.
If you train martial arts in the park with your wife, you could definitely get
Oh, yeah.
a gun pulled on you by a police officer.
They had two things against them: their color,
Uh-huh.
and they all were wearing the same thing, which make them look like a
Gang.
gang.
Like I said, gang
Well,
members.
it looks like one of the women in this group looks white to me. I mean, can y'all tell?
That happens from
looks
time
that
to
way.
time.
She looks like she's white to me.
Yes, that's Becky.
Yeah.
So
But Becky's in Sigma Gamma
I
Rho.
confirm that. Yes,
It makes no
and,
sense
and
to me.
We have those in there sometimes. It happens.
So we got to do better. We have got to do better and pull together and come up with
Pull
something, because this
together.
makes no sense. I mean, each of us, African American people of color, we've always been at risk, but even more so now. The tensions are even higher than ever
They said,
before.
if things are so bad for y'all, why don't y'all go back where y'all came from? No, you know what? I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stay here and make your life a living hell till you treat us until you treat us
calm
what you're
down.
supposed to.
Give him his
That's
medication.
what I'm gonna do.
Calm
No,
down.
stick it to the
Calm
stick it to the
down,
man.
Uncle
I'm gonna
I'm
call
from
you
here.
out on every single opportunity available until you acknowledge your mess. Period. That
Well-
take that go back where you came from attitude. Stick it.
Well, you know
You
what?
all right?
No, I'm not all right. No, I'm about to grab the microphone and go off for a minute.
When he came out with that slogan, "Make America Great,"
Make America white again.
I thought the next word after great always has been white. The great white hope to defeat Jack Johnson.
That didn't work out too well.
Recommended reading in middle school, The Great White Whale, Moby Dick.
That's right. Yeah.
And then in the 80s, they frightened, entertained, and scared us with the Great White Shark. So every time I hear that word great, I'm thinking white to come after it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, my thing is don't get caught up in all that rhetoric and that red meat, BS that they're trying to freak us out with. That once again, it's just like what Marcus and I were saying, maintain your composure, know your history, what you were saying. And yes, we are not going to back down, what you were saying. And I think knowledge is power. Our voting power, our financial, dollars, all of that. And if we rise above the fray, we can do great things. That's the thing. That's the thing. Before, let me do this. Let me respond to the text. Trudy asks if Pan-Africanism is reverse racism.
The answer is no. And I don't know why people cannot accept that Pan-Africanism is about understanding that I first understand that I am an African who lives in America, okay? And I love people of African descent. That's it. I don't hate anybody, okay? And it seems to be that when you focus on trying to solve the issues and the problems of our community,
Right.
I know that I'm not going to be able to fix it. But one of the things that I am working toward is the next generation, okay? That's my focus, is making sure that my children, my grandchildren, have an understanding of what it means to be African and not to be miseducated, okay, about Africa. Because again, if you ask most people and you talk to them and ask them about Africa, they can't tell you anything about Africa, you know, because the education that we receive in this country when you go to grade school, it's nothing about us, okay? It's all about the European culture. So Pan-Africanism is about learning about who you are, where you came from, the culture that existed that we were robbed of, and returning back to understanding that we gave the world civilization.
But shouldn't that education start at home first?
But it starts at home. It starts at home for those who can teach it. But again, a parent or a person cannot teach what they do not know. Okay? So everything that people hear me say a lot of time, I say to them, is a result of me having to re-educate myself. Years of reading, studying, researching,
And that's
and understanding.
incumbent upon all of us.
Right, and so that's
even
why
more so now than ever before.
Right. So Pan-African, I just love my people. I understand that there is a call in my life, I would say, to take the knowledge. Malcolm said, the information, your knowledge, your education, your experience, and your expertise do not belong to you. It belongs to the community. I live by that. I give it back to the community. Okay? I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm proud of. I've been exposed to a lot of things. My children are doing excellent by that teaching. And I just believe we take care of home first.
Right.
Then you reach out. Okay? And that's what Pan-Africanism is about.
Okay, but what book would you recommend with regards to this question that someone can read?
Well, I mean, it depends on where they are and what their interests. You know, like for instance, one of the staples is under books. I would recommend. It could be The Destruction of Black Civilization. People don't understand that before anything, all history that we seem to know, that black folks had already contributed most of the stuff to what we know today. If you go back and read that book, and where it ended up was in Egypt, okay? But a lot of people don't understand that, okay? It's a confusion in my mind when I hear people talk about the Middle East. Well, what are you talking about? And they'll say Egypt. Well, Egypt is in Africa, but the vast majority of people think of Egypt in the Middle East. It is in Africa.
Well, you know, there are a number of cultural places, well, few cultural places in a number of cities. If you live in any city that has African-American population, usually there's a community center or a cultural center that teaches some of the social aspects, the historical aspects of Pan-African or African society. And that's where adults need to go to get started, and they can take a look at some books and get recommendations on some books from there.
Right.
If you are already of that mindset, you're probably going to teach your children at home, because that's my thing, is what you just said. The education has to start at home.
Right.
Cut the TV off and read to your child.
Right.
Cell phone.
Let me tell you.
My grandson, I bought a book, an African-centered book, children's book, when he was 2 weeks old.
Can you know the name?
And they better, I can't remember because I dropped it down there 5 months ago. But I wanted to make sure that,
And your grandson
my
is how
son,
old?
He's 7 months old.
Right.
I wanted
That's
to
where
make
it started.
sure that my son and his
Your
mother
mom.
knew that's what's important.
Exactly.
A book with some kids in it that looks like him.
Yep.
Let me share
That's
this.
key.
Let me share this with you really quick, and I've told this story the other day to someone. When you teach your children about who they are from home, and they excel, then they'll run into issues. So my daughter, when she was in high school, when she was in 11th grade, she was in the National Honor Society, okay? But the backstory was that my daughter, she was an all-around person, okay? Played in the band, played basketball, ran track, and with a 4.3, had a 4.3 GPA in advanced placement classes, 600 in trigonometry, SOL. So when it came time, they put her in, but the backstory was not all of her teachers were white, and you have to be nominated to be in the National Honor Society. Mm-hmm. Not one of her teachers nominated her. She got nominated because she ran track and the coach was black, and her counselor was black. And they went, when they got the list of students that had been nominated, they went and asked why wasn't she nominated. And it was simply because, well, they said they overlooked it. But I taught my daughter about what it meant to be African, and that she had every right and education to question the teachers, because she had information that they weren't given, and so when she brought it up, they didn't like it.
That's the importance of teaching your child at home, so their eyes are open and they are aware. First of all, know who they are, identify their own identity, and then they are aware of, what right. the things that they would have to deal with. Right. And
that's what I mean, so she caught a lot of flack from her teachers because she had an African-centered mindset, okay? She wasn't disrespectful, but I gave her permission, if she didn't understand something, to challenge them. If they said something that she knew based on what she was reading in the books that I was sharing with her that was different from the books that she was reading in the curriculum, you have a right to challenge
Question
them.
it. Question it. That's right. Yeah, see, it's like the answer to the question of who discovered America.
Right.
The natives were here first.
Right, exactly.
Africans were here. Yeah. So when Columbus came over, that's like saying you walk into a building and you discover it. Right. There's people already here.
You can't discover something that wasn't lost.
Something, you wave it at the people.
So you can't discover something that wasn't lost.
Right. It wasn't lost.
So the mindset. So
you would.
We knew it was here. You didn't discover it.
So you probably would
So to get back to the question,
yeah.
Pan-Africanism is a different mindset than an American traditional education. It's about understanding that being African is the essence of my being, which means that the things that I appreciate in life come from a different perspective than what the American culture teaches. The American culture basically me, myself, and I. In African culture, that's not the truth. There is no I. It's a we. So you always focus on we. No matter what I accomplish, it's for the community. It's not me accomplishing anything. It's me accomplishing things with the community.
Okay, let me read Linda. Linda in Greenville, South Carolina says, check out the Malcolm X Center. Okay.
It's if the information is out there, if people seek it.
And you know what? I really appreciate our listeners giving us information, calling us, and giving us their comments, because we were talking about Roland Martin no longer having his news show.
His voice out there.
And I hope that this, the audience would use this platform to give us information, enlighten us. That's one of the ways that we can help each other, by passing on information, purposeful information, and being able to strengthen our community, each other, and doing things to make a difference.
Right. One of the most important things, and I'll just say this for people who want the kumbaya. It's not that I'm against kumbaya, but there are certain things that have to be fixed. It's like me fixing your house before I fix my house, and that's just not what I do.
Okay, Myra.
I'm not gonna fix your house before I fix mine.
Okay, Myra. That's enough. I've had enough, Myra. What happened to us working together?
We working together.
You just counter everything I just said a minute ago. Did he just not counter everything I just said?
No, you missed the point.
No, I didn't.
I guess we can't all get along.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, you got to hold it to the next show. If maybe I'm do you like I do you like I did there. You may not be back. We have to see.
Well, for those
what's cool? Here's my response to mine. What's kumbaya?
As
No,
always,
I don't get that.
As always, I thank God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing us the opportunity to speak and hopefully heard. Thanks to our listening friends. Blessings to each and every one of you. And of course, thanks to Myron, Dale, Uncle Mo, Marcus, Niles, Noah, Mr. Free, and I'm Tanya Free, of course. Until next time, be free. Remember to live life with a purpose. Did I say your name?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. I was racing with the clock there a minute ago.
Fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I'm gonna fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, till the revolution. Be the babies who don't have enough to eat. To the children with no shoes on their feet. You ought to house the people that's living out in the street. Well, I know there's a solution. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, but let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, till the revolution. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Oh, Lord. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is a presentation of Freedom Marketing Incorporated. All rights reserved. Views and comments expressed are not necessarily the views of the host and or this station.